Football is back. Chelsea football is back. And in Graham Potter's first game in charge in the Premier League, Chelsea fight back to win 2-1. Let's get into it.
And blue is the colour. Essien! Drogba! Lampard! That could be the
Greetings! Welcome back to Couch Critic with me, Dennis P. For what is your Chelsea match review show, but more specifically, a tactical synopsis of Chelsea's performance against Crystal Palace. But before we get into all that, ladies and gentlemen, friends, foes, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification button to keep up with the latest and newest. And if you don't already know, I do have a sponsor for the show. They go by the name of Major League Socks. And fellas, if you ever want to walk in the footsteps of greatness, you know what to do. Just hit them up. The link will be in the description. Okay, so Chelsea went away to Selhurst Park to play Crystal Palace and emerged 2-1 winners, coming from behind to achieve that victory as well. Goal scorers Aubameyang with a belter. This is why you need a striker. Finishes like that is why you need a quality striker. And of course, Conor Gallagher coming off the bench to haunt his team that he was on loan to last year. Chelsea win 2-1. In this match review, we're going to be focusing on just a few things. It's not going to be very long because, as you can see, I'm not home. I'm actually in Halifax on the east coast of Canada, and so I'm not going to be able to spend much time doing this video, but I did see some things that I did want to focus on and just pass on what I saw and let you guys know what I thought. And you guys, again, you know what to do. Hit me up in the comments if you see something different. But we're going to be looking at Chelsea's shape, the 4-2-2-2. We're going to be looking at the tactical error that led to Crystal Palace's goal. And we're going to be looking at the overall structure of this team right now. So, like I said, not a very long video, but we will be covering those topics. Okay, so we got our second glimpse at Graham Potter's Chelsea setup, and in this game he decided to go 4-2-2-2, and it featured a lot of interesting wrinkles that I wanted to get into. Like, I really enjoyed watching the team play today, and as much as we didn't score as many goals as we thought we could have, we did have opportunities to score. I thought the overall application was very good, and the ideation was there as well. And we did play 4-2-2-2, and we had Jorginho at the base with Kovacic, and just ahead of them, playing in a little bit more an asymmetrical role, we had Mason Mount and Kai Havertz, and just ahead of them we had, of course, Raheem Sterling and Aubameyang. And the thing that really stuck out to me with this 4-2-2-2 is the fact that it played so narrow. Like, Chelsea were really trying to be very direct at their attacks and also build up play through the middle of the pitch, which was, you know, a welcome change from when we play 4-2-2-2 and most of the play goes out to the flanks and just becomes very stagnant and predictable. What I liked a lot about this particular setup is that there are a lot of runs happening off of the ball, and there were guys getting in behind. Just a little bit more accuracy, and especially in the first half, if we had a little bit more accuracy, would have had a ton more goal-scoring opportunities. But you love seeing Raheem Sterling doing what he does best, making runs off the ball, getting in behind, and trying to get into the key areas on the pitch. You saw Aubameyang do that as well. But the other thing that I liked at what he did with the forwards too is that he allowed them to come deep into the pockets of space to collect the ball, and what that did was it freed up the likes of Jorginho and Kovacic from the pressure that was being, you know, administered to them from the pressing four from Crystal Palace. And, you know, very instantly you see Aubameyang come deep, you know, collect from Thiago Silva, and he's just laying it off to the likes of either Kovacic, Mount, or, you know, obviously Jorginho there. And when you get those 1- and 2-touch passes, it speeds up the play, and not only that, it gives the defense a lot to think about in small tight spaces. Do I engage? Do I sit off? Do I allow them to have the ball? So seeing Aubameyang come in and overload the middle areas of the pitch, seeing Raheem Sterling drop deep and overload the middle areas of the pitch, gave Chelsea a lot of opportunities to break down their somewhat passive shape. The other aspect of our attackers dropping deep that, you know, basically disguises our runs as well. If you have Raheem Sterling coming deep to collect the ball, you can get a run off the ball from somebody like Mason Mount or Kai Havertz getting behind. Vice versa, if you see Aubameyang coming in, you can see the likes of Raheem Sterling getting behind, you know, Reece James, Chilwell. It just changes the focal point of the team, and like it gives players the opportunity to attack the spaces, because if one of the defenders decides to come deep to engage with Aubameyang, it leaves a gap of space in behind. And we saw it a couple times this game where, you know, Aubameyang would come deep, you know, collect the ball, lay it off to somebody like Jorginho, and then in behind them is somebody like Raheem Sterling or, Mason Mount making that run in behind, not always recognized, which is something that I think will come in time. Chelsea will start recognizing where these opportunities are coming from. But the fact that we're making these runs, the movement off the ball is there, and the timing of the runs is there too. Like, how many times did you see today where Thiago Silva's on the ball, inside the half, and he's just looking, he's surveying the pitch, and he sees the run of Sterling to get in behind. He sees the run of Aubameyang. He sees the run of Reece James. He sees the run, of Chilwell when he does make his runs and stuff like that. All of these things are great to see because it means that the squad is recognizing these situations more readily now. We have willing players that want to make these runs to make the difference and stuff like that. In particular, Raheem Sterling playing to his strengths again. Like I said the last video under Graham Potter, we're playing players to their strengths, and it's providing us with more opportunities to score goals. I do think it does present a few problems defensively because, again, when you see the likes of, Jorginho and Kovacic engaging higher up the pitch to try and put more pressure on the defense, it just makes us very, very susceptible. It puts a whole hell of a lot of defense on those two center backs, being Thiago Silva and Fofana today. And, for the most part, we handled it quite well, but there were times where, that particular shape got us into a lot of trouble. And on a better day, on another day for Crystal Palace, probably would have led to goals. When you have such an open midfield where, Kovacic obviously did not have a great game. Let's just be real. He did not have a good game. He was giving away the ball quite a bit. The runs that he was making, he was just he's producing turnovers a lot of the time. And he wasn't really tracking runners defensively. I'm not going to really harp on his game in particular, but I really did think that he left a lot of space for Jorginho to cover. And, let's be honest, Jorginho just cannot cover that amount of ground. And, it led to a few problems here and there, but for the most part, Chelsea had most of the possession of the game, so we didn't really see that become, a real problem area. One of the other things that I noticed in this particular 4-2-2 is when one of Reece James, we got the width obviously from Reece James and Chilwell. And when one of them would go, whenever we'd overload one side of the pitch, you'd see that Jorginho would be the one that would fall in to make up the defensive three again. So you would never be left with, three defenders or two defenders and, our fullbacks pressed up the pitch. There would always be an opportunity for Jorginho to drop in on the left side or the right side to make up a three. But hopefully we just continue to use the ball correctly, don't give away the ball, and produce opportunities to score goals, because this is what this formation is supposed to do. It's supposed to put a lot of pressure on the defense. It's supposed to keep them guessing whether they engage, pull them out of spaces to let people get in behind. And thought we did that quite well today. We just did not really take enough of our opportunities. And again, as much as I hate to admit it, I don't want to keep harping on this, but Chelsea really do need somebody that can play that incisive ball in the final third. Like, a lot of the opportunities that we getting guys like Raheem Sterling in behind and stuff like that, the cutbacks are there, but the accuracy of the passes just aren't. So, still something to work on. I think that the shape looks good, the application looks good, but, it's just the final ball needs to be a lot better. And, until we can get that, I think we're still going to be struggling to score goals. But today, on a good note, we did get into those areas quite easily and created one or two opportunities. Now, for me, when you're analyzing a shape like 4-2-2, or any shape for that matter, it's less about where players are positioned on the pitch and more about what the mannerisms are in that shape. Like, what are they being asked to do in those particular areas and whatnot, and what areas are they asked to cover. When you look at the positioning of Mason Mount and Kai Havertz, that was where the most interesting aspects were, because normally what you would see in a 4-2-2 is you see them take up the wide areas on the pitch, and that just wasn't the case. I thought that they're very narrow and they weren't necessarily symmetrical. It was very much an asymmetrical shape where, Kai Havertz would be a little bit more central and Mason Mount would be more towards the left touchline, just in behind, some of the runs that Ben Chilwell would be making. But very interesting shape, and the way it played was beautiful as well. I thought that because we were maybe like 5 to 10 yards away from each other on the pitch, like the players were very compact and whatnot in that final third area. It led to a lot of 1-2 touches in the central areas. It led to opportunities where Chelsea would do layoffs and they make runs off of the ball to get in behind. And, as much as it didn't really yield enough in, the actual final third goal scoring opportunities, I think that when you're playing a team that's a little bit more aggressive than Crystal Palace, trying to engage in the half spaces, it might leave Chelsea with a few more opportunities to get in behind and make more of, an impact in that final third. But, once, especially after Crystal Palace scored that first goal, they were very, very content with just to stay in their shape and not really engage in those half spaces too much. But I did like the ideation of like trying to pull defenders out, compacting the middle of the pitch and trying to really dominate that area. And, if we can continue to do that, I think that's going to produce a lot. I also thought that it was really interesting how aggressive we were pushing bodies forward. Like we put a lot of pressure on our particular defense when we did turn it over and whatnot. But I was really enjoying the fact that we were pressing bodies forward. We had the fullbacks engaged in the final third. We had all sorts of attacking talent on the pitch, and even Jorginho and Kovacic were pressed up quite high in aspects of this game. And, the box presence was there. At times you see Chelsea, get into that final third and you're seeing like 4s and 5s in the box. And that's not something that you've seen very often under Thomas Tuchel. Late runs into the box. I know it's a very aggressive style, a very aggressive offensive approach. But, once we got the equalizer and we're starting to look for the second goal, and we brought on, I think Jorginho came off with injury, Ruben Loftus-Cheek came on. I think we lost a little bit of stability in the midfield. And, the game got a little bit more helter-skelter. But when that happened, when that midfield became a little bit more destabilized, I thought we had a lot more presence going forward. We had a lot more people trying to engage in that final third. And, the box presence was very much on display. And, lo and behold, it leads to a goal as well. And what a goal it was. Conor Gallagher, take your hat off, son. Hats off to you. What a finish, man. And to do it against your against the club you played with last year was just perfectly timed to get your first Chelsea goal. Congratulations to you. But yeah, that basically just came down to the fact that we had so much bodies forward in that final third, putting pressure on the defense and whatnot. Very rare do we see that from Chelsea. Very rare do we see anyone take attempts outside of the box with that sort of quality. So as I said at the beginning of the season, I'm going to try and analyze one specific aspect of the game and try and break it down and tell you guys what I was seeing when, particular instances happened on the pitch. And in this one, I'm going to be analyzing the goal for Crystal Palace by Edouard. And I really do think that it came down to Fofana. Now, if you watch my video about Fofana when he joined Chelsea, you would have heard me say that he is a little bit, aggressive in his challenges for the ball, and sometimes he gets caught out. And I feel like that's exactly what happened here, where, here he's engaging with, I believe it was Eze, and instead of, just jockeying, he basically puts himself in a position where he's forced to make a challenge towards the ball. He's nowhere near it, aggressively plays towards it, and he gets bypassed. And once he gets bypassed, the problem is he's not tracking runners now. At this point in time, Chelsea's in good shape. You're looking at what Crystal Palace have going forward. They swing it out to the right. And, obviously Edouard's making that run in behind Fofana, but you would think that he has the awareness to know what's happening in behind him. Unfortunately, he doesn't. He kind of loses track of Edouard, and it's in the back of the net. If we were playing in a back three, you probably wouldn't have seen that goal happen because he would have had cover either on his left or on his right. But because we're playing in a back two, back four system, I really do think that that's where the error comes in, because where he needs to be more safe, he's actually still being more aggressive. And when he makes that aggressive play towards Eze, the problem only compounds itself from there because he doesn't have the cover. And then when he doesn't track the run, the end result is a goal. So just think that in the future, what we're going to have to see from Fofana is he's just got to play a little bit more safe, especially in positions where Chelsea are pressing high up the pitch. And, we have Thiago Silva, who's not necessarily the most fleet of foot. We don't want to see too many last-ditch tackles. We want to be able to be composed, drop off to 5 to 10 meters to give them space. And then when the opportunity comes, because he's very good at timing when to put in the tackles. It's just in this instance, he was just too aggressive and pulled the line up. And unfortunately led to a goal. But in most instances, when he times the tackles, he's usually very good at winning them. But in this particular case here, he just pulled out of shape and just could not recover. But I do think I'm going to wrap it up there. Chelsea, very, 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 very fortunate to emerge 2-1 winners at Selhurst Park against Crystal Palace. And I say lucky because I didn't speak on this during my, my analysis of the game, but even Thiago Silva, that yellow card that he got for handball, that to me, that's a red card offense for me. And fortunately for Chelsea, unfortunately for Crystal Palace, we dodged a bullet there. But if I were Chelsea and I saw that situation happen, I'd want that to be a red card. There wasn't very much cover there to suggest that it wasn't a clear goal scoring opportunity. But we move on from that. Unfortunate for you, Crystal Palace. For once Chelsea get a call that goes their way, and if it were not for a cracking finish from Conor Gallagher, out of nowhere, this game probably ends in the balance, 1-1. But it was great finish, and great call from Graham Potter to bring in the substitutions, and it leads to a goal, and what a goal it was. So yeah, like we're in the right stead right now. This first game in the Premier League, we're showing that we have some sort of ideation. We're changing shapes. We're varying our style of play. We're playing to the strengths of our team. We're playing to the strengths of the players, and we're finding shapes that work with a multitude of players. So I'm excited about what's happening with Graham Potter right now. We have the midweek game coming up against AC Milan, and for those of you that still think the Champions League is something that we can, qualify from the group and then go on to win, this game is vital. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Chelsea have to take 3 points or it's curtains, without question. So let's hope we can do that. But until then, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high, and up to Chelsea. Peace.